Hey guys, it's your girl Carrie Ann Camille here with another video as I'm insisting on being consistent. Please forgive me. So the last time I posted, it may have been a hint as to what was gonna happen when I said I would not promise to post every week because since then my house has been broken into. Yeah. And the more I share my stories, the more I realize that everyone has been affected by crime in some way. It's kind of crazy to me, to be honest, because it's clear the persons who broke into my house waited deliberately for me to not be here. And they stole my television, they stole groceries, which is maybe the mind boggler for me. They stole my camera that I use for work, speakers that I use for work, you know, the spout from my 5-gallon water bottle, some odd items. But I'm happy that I wasn't here, and I think the feeling has finally passed, and I'm happy for that. The feeling of violation, the feeling of knowing that there are people in my house that were not invited in, and all the germs that they have. But I'm better now. I received the prayer that a former Sunday school teacher of mine prayed for peace, and I am at peace. We are in a season of celebration, a season of happiness. We're around family and friends. And there are some elements around us that do not want to work. They will seize any and every opportunity to relieve you of the items that you own. Apparently, one of the new tricks now is to say that your credit is done and you ask for a call. Now, this can really happen in real life. You may really be in an emergency, but then there's some distracting element that takes place, and before you know it, they're gone with your phone. This same thing happened to my neighbor. She told me about it today, and it's kind of frightening because she has been downtown for years as a vendor and she's never experienced that. So the thieves are becoming or using tactics to get us distracted. It's sad that we're in a scenario now where we are going to be suspicious of any and everybody that's around us, but unfortunately, that is what living in Jamaica requires at the moment. So it's kind of sickening to me to know that kindness is being exploited. Just be alert. There's so many different tactics now. There are people that insist on coming back to your house with a crowbar because your gate is too tough. That's the scenario I faced. Thankfully, my neighbors who heard and saw what were happening attempted to call the police, but they did not respond. It may have been that it's because, the time was early, 2 a.m. It may be that the police have been overwhelmed with prank calls. There are so many factors and so many emotions that I have gone through with this whole scenario. How do we stem crime? How do we prevent it from continuing to being a monster? Because I can't say prevent it from becoming a monster. It already is a monster. Are we serious about having a society that's safe? I don't want to get too deep into this topic, but it is clear that the issue of crime may not be on the forefront of our leaders' minds because the strategies that have been implemented are not effective, but yet still we do them every time. So, anyway, I don't want to rehash the emotions that I finally had, put to rest about this whole scenario of crime. But guys, just be alert. Be alert. The sad thing about it is that persons like me may not be helpful to people who need help. I will really have to rely on discernment from God to determine if someone genuinely needs help or if they're a thief. It's just sad. The scenario is that there are persons in need and there are persons who genuinely need help. But then there are also the scammers and the thieves who have coined various scenarios and are using them to target people who they know they possibly can get help from and then eventually trick. So it's a very sticky scenario. One of the frightening revelations for this time is when the scene of crime personnel came to my house and they apologized profusely for getting there late because my break-in had happened on Sunday morning very early and the scene of crimes persons came on Wednesday. But they apologized for not getting here on time because they were constantly delayed. What's even more painful for me is that because of my experience, I have had to be fighting myself to not become callous and judgmental. So we know that everybody doesn't have the best day every day of their lives. There will be days that we're up, some days we're down. But this experience now has honestly made me a bit more tough than I have been all my life. I mean, it's approaching 4 decades of living, and I've never had this invasion before. And so now, just doing my daily tasks, driving, watering my lawn, in the back of my head, I'm like, anybody passing me, I'm like, you could have been the person that broke into my house. Ha. You could have been the person that broke into my house. You could have been the thief. You may be the same one that was walking and watching me all this time and waiting. Maybe it's a sign of respect that they chose to break in when I wasn't here. I don't know. But yeah, not impressed. So now I again have to be deliberately praying against being sarcastic. That was an issue of mine several years ago, and now I am back at that prayer. But God is good, God is faithful. I'm still here. My life wasn't in danger. I think my cats were scared because for the first couple of days afterwards, they kept on running away from me when I was walking in the house. But outside of that, I'm good. And God is good. And it's a reminder of the fact that things are really temporary, but it doesn't lessen the annoyance. It doesn't lessen the frustration of knowing that I worked hard to purchase my items and then persons just decide they're gonna lift them from me. It's not a good feeling. But I leave them to time. I leave them to God. They may have a Merry Christmas, but anywho, not to put a damper on anyone's spirits. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone. Be safe. And I am praying that 2022 is nothing like 2020 or 2021 because the Lord said no, that as a human race, we can't manage no more. All right, be safe, guys. Bye.